Welcome to the Danger Zone. The Galactic Confederation vessel Celestial Arbiter hung in orbit above the blue-green world, its crystalline hull refracting starlight into prismatic patterns across its surface. On the command bridge, Admiral Cyrix Krell stood with 4 of his 6 appendages clasped behind his back, the other 2 manipulating the holographic display that showed detailed scans of the planet below. "Impossible," he muttered, his translucent exoskeleton flushing a deep purple with concern. "Run the atmospheric analysis again." His science officer, Telna, blinked her compound eyes in what her species considered a respectful acknowledgement. "Admiral, we've run it 17 times. The readings are consistent. This planet's atmosphere contains approximately 21% oxygen, a highly reactive and corrosive gas. The surface experiences extreme temperature variations, powerful electromagnetic storms, intense radiation from its star, and tectonic instability. By all Confederation standards, it's classified as a Class 9 death world." And yet, Krell's voice dropped to a whisper, they claim to have evolved there naturally. The they in question were humans, the newest species to achieve faster-than-light travel and petition for membership in the Galactic Confederation. First contact had occurred just 3 standard cycles ago, when a crude but surprisingly effective warp vessel had appeared near the Confederation outpost at Proxima Centauri. The initial diplomatic exchange had been promising. The humans seemed intelligent, curious, and remarkably adaptable. It was only when Confederation scientists began reviewing the biological and planetary data that alarms began to sound throughout the higher echelons of galactic governance. "Admiral," Telna continued, her voice betraying her unease, "the human delegation is requesting permission to board. They're quite insistent about showing us their homeworld personally." Krell's skin rippled with uncertainty. "Prepare the biosecurity protocols. Level 1 containment procedures for all human visitors. And Telna," he paused, mandibles clicking softly, "have the medical team standing by. I want a full biological assessment of these survivors." The word hung in the air. Survivors. Because that's what humans had to be. No sentient species should have been able to evolve on such a hellscape. 3 hours later, the human delegation stood in the Confederation vessel's conference chamber. There were 5 of them, varying in size, pigmentation, and secondary sexual characteristics, but all displaying the same disturbing death world adaptations that had confounded Confederation scientists. "Ambassador Chen," Krell addressed the lead human, a female with dark fur on her cranium and eyes that reflected an unsettling intensity. "Thank you for joining us aboard the Celestial Arbiter." "The pleasure is ours, Admiral Krell," Chen replied with what humans called a smile, a bearing of calcified cutting and grinding bones they used for processing solid matter for consumption. "We're eager to formalize relations between Earth and the Confederation." "Yes, about Earth." Krell hesitated, unsure how to phrase his concerns diplomatically. "Our scans indicate conditions that most Confederation species would find challenging." Chen laughed, a strange vocalization that among humans indicated amusement rather than distress. "That's one way of putting it. We've been meaning to discuss that. We understand our homeworld might seem a bit extreme by your standards." "Extreme," Telna interjected, her scientific curiosity overcoming protocol. "Your world experiences temperature variations that would kill most sentient species, constant bombardment by cosmic radiation, regular tectonic events that reshape entire landmasses, atmospheric oxygen levels that would cause spontaneous combustion in several Confederation species, and gravitational forces 30% higher than standard Confederation habitable norms." The humans exchanged glances. "Yeah, we call that spring where I'm from," quipped another human, this one with lighter coloration and a larger frame. The other humans made their amusement sounds again. "Ambassador Chen," Krell pressed, "we mean no offense, but the Confederation's xenobiologists are concerned. Your species appears to have evolved extraordinary resilience. You possess redundant organs, a skeleton reinforced with calcium deposits, autonomous nervous responses, cellular regeneration capabilities, and an immune system that aggressively attacks foreign bodies. Not to mention, added Telma, unable to contain her scientific fascination, your species consumes both plant and animal matter, can survive on a remarkable variety of organic compounds, and has evolved to neutralize substances that would be lethal toxins to most sentient life. The humans nodded, as if this were completely normal. We've been told coffee alone would kill most of your species, Ambassador Chen said with another smile. That would make for a very sad morning for most of humanity. Krell felt his skin flush deep purple again. Ambassador, these are the biological traits of an apex predator from a hostile environment. Your very biology suggests a developmental history of constant survival pressure and competition. Well, yes, Chen replied matter-of-factly. Earth has been challenging, but it's home. Perhaps you'd like to see it for yourselves. We've prepared a series of visits to different biomes that showcase Earth's diversity. Krell exchanged glances with his science officer. This was precisely what the Confederation needed. Direct observation of this death world. But the prospect filled him with both scientific curiosity and primal dread. We would be honored, he replied formally. The following days were a revelation that sent shockwaves through the Confederation's scientific community. Krell led a team of the most qualified xenobiologists, each protected by environmental suits designed to shield them from Earth's hostile conditions. They observed humans swimming casually in bodies of water that contained countless microorganisms and chemical compounds foreign to Confederation biology. They witnessed humans hiking across landscapes where temperature variations of 20 degrees could occur within hours. They saw human settlements built directly atop fault lines where the planet's crust regularly shifted, causing what humans casually termed earthquakes. Most disturbing of all, they observed human dietary practices, the consumption of substances that contained compounds known to be toxic, psychoactive, or outright poisonous to most sentient life. They voluntarily consumed capsaicin, reported one horrified xenobiologist after observing a human meal containing chili peppers, a compound evolutionarily designed to cause pain and deter consumption. And they brew ethanol, a neurotoxin, for recreational consumption, added another researcher after documenting human bars. Their young engage in activity they call playing, noted a behavioral scientist with fascination. They deliberately seek out minor physical risks as a developmental process. They call it building character. As the Confederation team compiled their findings, a disturbing picture emerged. Humans hadn't merely survived their death world. They had been forged by it. Their bodies, minds, and societies had been shaped by evolutionary pressures so extreme that they had developed capacities far beyond what the Confederation had thought possible for biological organisms. On the final day of their initial assessment, Krell stood with Ambassador Chen on a plateau overlooking a vast human city. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors that would be toxic warning signs on most Confederation worlds. I must be direct, Ambassador, Krell said finally. Your species represents an evolutionary path the Confederation has never encountered. You have been shaped by conditions that would exterminate most sentient life. And yet, here you stand, not merely surviving, but thriving. Building civilizations, creating art, exploring space. Chen nodded, watching the sunset with appreciation. We've always known we had to be tough to make it on Earth. It's only now, meeting you and learning about other worlds, that we're beginning to understand just how unique our path has been. Krell's compound eyes reflected the dying light of Earth's sun. The Confederation Council will need to carefully consider the implications of humanity joining our coalition. You understand this presents challenges. Because you're afraid of us, Chen said simply. It wasn't a question. Fear is not a productive framework for diplomatic relations, Krell responded diplomatically. Chen smiled, that unsettling bearing of bone. Admiral, let me be equally direct. Yes, Earth is harsh. Yes, It's made us tough, but it's also taught us something the Confederation may find valuable. And what is that, Ambassador? Adaptation, she replied. On Earth, it's not the strongest species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the one most responsive to change. We've learned to bend without breaking, to find opportunity in crisis, to turn disadvantages into strengths. Perhaps that's exactly what the Confederation needs. As night fell over the human city, lights began to appear, millions of them, pushing back the darkness in a display of humanity's ancient defiance against their world's hostile conditions. Krell felt a strange sensation in his thoracic cavity. Was it fear? Admiration? Perhaps both. One thing was becoming increasingly clear. The galaxy was about to change in ways the Confederation could barely imagine. The most dangerous place in the galaxy had produced perhaps its most formidable species, and they wanted to be friends, at least for now. Evolution's masterpiece. 6 standard cycles had passed since first contact with humanity. The Confederation Council Chamber, a vast amphitheater carved from a single asteroid and lined with luminescent biotechnology, buzzed with the sounds of 100 different species engaged in urgent debate. Admiral Krell, now promoted to Confederation Security Liaison for Earth Sector, stood at the central podium. His exoskeleton had darkened with age, now bearing the iridescent patterns that marked distinguished service. Members of the Council, his voice resonated through the chamber, amplified by acoustic technology. I present the 7th Annual Assessment of Human Integration into the Confederation. Holographic displays activated around him, showing statistics, incident reports, and footage from various Confederation worlds where humans had established embassies, trading posts, and cultural exchanges. The data is complex, Krell admitted. Human adaptation to Confederation protocols exceeds all projections. Their technological assimilation rate is 340% above standard curves for new member species. Their diplomatic flexibility has resolved 3 long-standing conflicts in the Orion Arm alone. Murmurs of approval rippled through sections of the Council. However, Krell continued, mandibles clicking with tension. Incidents of what humans term creative problem-solving continue to challenge Confederation regulatory frameworks. The displays shifted to show footage of humans in various scenarios. A human engineer bypassing safety protocols to rescue trapped miners on a colony world. Human diplomats engaging in what they called off-the-record negotiations with previously hostile species. Human scientists combining technologies in ways that Confederation standards classified as untested and potentially destabilizing. The humans call it thinking outside the box, Krell explained. A concept that has no direct translation in 17 Confederation languages. From her designated seat in the New Earth section, Ambassador Chen watched the proceedings with the same calm intensity that Krell had found so unsettling years ago. Beside her sat the expanded human delegation, each member representing different Earth regions and specialties. Admiral Krell called out the delegate from the Andaran Collective, a species of symbiotic plant insectoid organisms. Your reports consistently highlight human unpredictability as both benefit and concern. After 7 cycles of observation, have you determined which assessment is more accurate? Krell paused, his compound eyes briefly meeting Chen's gaze across the chamber. Both assessments are simultaneously accurate, he replied carefully. This paradox is, perhaps, the most important lesson humanity has brought to the Confederation. Their homeworld, Earth, is classified as a death world not merely because of its harsh conditions, but because of its unpredictability. Its extreme variation. Humans evolved not just to survive specific threats, but to adapt to constant change itself. The chamber quieted as Krell activated a new holographic display, a 3-dimensional model of Earth rotating slowly above the central podium. This planet contains more ecological diversity in its habitable zones than any 17 Confederation worlds combined. It experiences weather patterns that can change within hours, seasons that transform entire landscapes, and geological activity that constantly reshapes its surface. Its biodiversity includes over 10 million identified species, each evolved for different niches and survival strategies. A hologram zoomed in, showing successive views of Earth's varied environments. Searing deserts, frozen tundras, dense jungles, vast oceans, rugged mountains. Humanity, Krell continued, is the product of this crucible of change. They did not evolve to master a specific environment, but to master adaptation itself. This is why they exhibit behaviors the Confederation alternately finds brilliant and alarming. They are not merely surviving their environment. They are constantly experimenting with it, testing boundaries, seeking new possibilities. Ambassador Chen stood, indicating her wish to address the council. The presiding elder, a Melosian with flowing tendrils of bioluminescent tissue, acknowledged her with a gentle pulse of light. Honored members of the Confederation, Chen began. Admiral Krell's assessment is accurate. Earth has never allowed humanity the luxury of complacency. Our history is one of constant adaptation, often painful, sometimes glorious, always necessary. We've survived ice ages and warming periods, pandemics and predators, natural disasters, and self-inflicted wounds. She gestured to the holographic Earth still rotating above the chamber. That beautiful, terrible world taught us that survival isn't about being perfect. It's about being flexible, about turning disadvantages into strengths, about cooperating to overcome challenges no individual could face alone. Yes, these lessons have made us unpredictable by Confederation standards, but they've also made us uniquely qualified to help the Confederation face its greatest challenge. And what challenge is that, Ambassador? Asked the Melosian elder. The future, Chen replied simply. The unknown, the unexpected. The galaxy is vast, ancient, and filled with mysteries. The Confederation has built a remarkable civilization based on stability, protocol, and careful advancement. But the universe doesn't always honor our plans. A tense silence fell over the chamber. What Chen was suggesting, that the careful, methodical approach of the Confederation might be insufficient for the challenges ahead, bordered on diplomatic impropriety. To everyone's surprise, Admiral Krell spoke in support. Ambassador Chen's assessment aligns with Confederation Strategic Command's latest projections, he stated. Our encounter with humanity has revealed significant adaptability gaps in our approach to unexpected scenarios. The recent quantum rift incident in the Cygnus sector was resolved using human methodologies that violated 17 Confederation protocols, but saved over 8 billion lives. The displays shifted again, showing footage of human ships executing maneuvers that Confederation simulators had classified as impossible, diving into the heart of the quantum rift phenomenon that had threatened to consume an entire star system. They shouldn't have survived, Krell added quietly. But they did, and so did the Cygnus system. The council chamber erupted in multiple conversations, each species processing the implications according to their own biological and cultural frameworks. The Melosian elder pulsed a bright sequence that restored order. What does Earth request of the Confederation? The elder asked Chen directly. Partnership, she replied, not assimilation. We don't wish to change the Confederation's foundational principles of peace, cooperation, and mutual advancement. We simply offer a new perspective, one forged in Earth's crucible of change. Let us be your specialists in the unexpected, your pathfinders through uncertainty. Krell observed the reactions rippling through the council. Fear, fascination, hope, concern, emotions that transcended biological differences. He remembered his first view of Earth, that blue-green death world that had produced these confounding beings who embraced risk as readily as they offered friendship. The debates continued for weeks, as was the Confederation custom for matters of significant import. Eventually, a new framework was established, one that incorporated humanity's unique capabilities while maintaining the stability that had made the Confederation successful for millennia. Specialized joint teams were formed, pairing human adaptability with Confederation expertise. New protocols were developed to allow for what humans called justified exceptions, to standard procedures in crisis situations. Training programs were established where humans taught other species their approaches to problem-solving, while learning the wisdom behind Confederation caution. One standard cycle later, Admiral Krell found himself once again in orbit above Earth, this time aboard a new class of vessel, the Adaptive Horizon, designed collaboratively by Confederation and human engineers. Ambassador Chen, now elevated to Earth's High Representative, joined him on the observation deck. Below them, Earth continued its eternal dance of beauty and violence. Storm systems swirling across oceans, volcanic plumes visible even from orbit, the day-night Terminator sweeping across continents teeming with life that had survived 5 major extinction events. "I understand now," Krell said, his voice carrying the harmonics of profound revelation. "It was never just about the physical conditions of your world, though they are extreme by our standards. It was about what those conditions created, not just physically, but cognitively, culturally." Chen nodded. "Darwin, one of our early evolutionary theorists, once observed that it's not the strongest species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the one most adaptable to change." "Your Darwin was wise," Krell acknowledged. "The Confederation has long valued stability, predictability, control. For many member species, these were the traits that ensured survival on their homeworlds. But your species emerged from chaos, from constant change. You don't merely tolerate uncertainty, you thrive in it." "And yet," Chen added with a smile, "we dream of peace, of stability. Perhaps that's the final paradox of humanity. Born in chaos, we reach for order. Shaped by struggle, we strive for harmony." As they watched, the Terminator line crossed the Atlantic Ocean, darkness sweeping over the Americas, while dawn broke over Asia. Billions of lives, human and otherwise, continuing their ancient dance of survival and aspiration on the most dangerous, and perhaps most remarkable, planet in the known galaxy. "The Confederation has a saying," Krell offered. "The universe favors balance. Perhaps that is why it created Earth and humanity. To balance our caution with your courage, our wisdom with your wonder, our stability with your spark." Chen's eyes reflected the distant sun breaking over Earth's horizon. "I like that thought, Admiral. Though I should warn you, such poetic thinking might be a sign you've been spending too much time with humans." Krell's exoskeleton rippled with what had become his own version of amusement. "Perhaps, or perhaps it's simply evidence of the most profound truth we've learned from your death world." "And what's that?" "That adaptation goes both ways. Your world shaped you. And now, Ambassador Chen, you are reshaping the galaxy, one adaptation at a time." Below them, Earth continued its eternal rotation, oblivious to its newfound status as the most dangerous and most transformative place in the galaxy.